Welcome to Death Holler. Do you like scary movies? Welcome to Season 3, Slash or Pass. There will be laughter, tears, tender moments.
Jason, my special boy.
But most of all, screams. Remember, when you're in Death Holler, listener discretion is always advised. We hope you have a killer time.
Take a little walk to the edge of town and go across the track, where the viaduct looms like a bird of doom as it ships and cracks, where secrets lie in the border fires and the humming wires. Yeah, man, you know you're never coming back. Past the square, past the bridge, past the mills, past the stacks. On a gathering storm comes a tall, handsome man in a dusty black coat with a red right hand.
And with that, we're back, everybody. Welcome back to Death Holler. I'm your host, Reverend Dr. Death, and joining me as always is La Urena. Finishing up our coverage of the Scream franchise, or at least to this point. It looks like they're going to make some more sequels after this newest one, but I feel good about it. That's kind of a spoiler, I guess, and this is going to be a spoiler cast, so if you haven't seen the movie, you probably want to go watch it and then come back and then, see what we have to say, because I don't really want to, well, if we want to throw it out there for the people, should they see it, slash or pass, and then they can, and then they can go do whatever. So what's your thoughts?
Wait, we want to give that right now?
Let's go ahead and do that for the people that just want an opinion, whether they want to go watch it, and then they can go and then fuck off and come back after they've seen it. So
100%, and I have to emphasize this, slash, it is a slash for me, and it is a must see on the big screen. And they say it so many, I saw so many previews that like you are seeing this movie as it's intended to be seen. Can you watch it at home? Of course you can. Anybody, you can watch it on your phone. You can, but you want to take in everything.
I can't say anything against that. It's definitely a must see. I feel like if you don't watch it on the big screen, you're going to be missing out, because it harkens back to the days of whenever it was just fun to go watch a good slasher at the theaters. It's that good, folks. Mm-hmm. Go watch it.
It is. And I will tell you one thing you can pass on, 100%. You can pass on the 3D. Nothing really stood out to me.
That was one thing that I was so disappointed in. This is not My Bloody Valentine 3D. This is not it's jumping out of the screen at you 3D. This is post-processing Marvel Avengers 3D, where, Jenna Ortega's slightly in the background versus, her sister. Wow. Yeah. It's just see it regular. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Well, having said that, now we're going to get in the spoiler part of it. So if you don't want to hear this, go watch the movie and then come back.
Major spoilers ahead, guys.
So yes, this, I'm just going to throw out there, this is probably now my favorite sequel.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that, because I'm sure we'll get into bits that weren't the greatest, but it really amped it up big time. I can't think of one that even comes close to this one.
It amped it up, and it also paid so many dues to, like, not even Scream, but just like franchises in general, because
oh my god, yeah,
one thing that I got it, while I'm remembering it, because this is going to be stream of consciousness this whole way through, I love there was the comment where Randy's niece was going over the rules of the franchise because now she's the Randy of the series. Well, we'll get into that. Chad's a good mix for him too, but she and they're all a lot better in this movie. I think that was our big criticism of Part 5, that everybody but the main two were kind of like, bleh, you know. But I think they stepped it up.
Yes,
at least in my opinion.
Everybody honestly stepped it up.
And so, but I loved when she was commenting on the franchise. She started rattling off. She's like, you know, anybody can be killed. Even, you know, the final girl, you know, Nancy Thompson, you know, Laurie Strode, Sally Hardesty. This is the movie where they all come back and get killed. And I'm like, okay, the guys who wrote this knew what they were doing. So
definitely, even maybe they didn't know what they were doing at first, but they definitely did the research and they definitely took the time. They wanted it to be good.
Yeah, it shows in just the general layout of the movie. I mean, right from the get-go, because, I mean, getting into it, at least start at the beginning. I love the fake out with the, well, I loved and I hated it because if you remember right, on Part 5, I was so excited about Samara Weaving being in this movie.
Oh, yeah. I was
God
stoked.
damn it.
I was super excited when that happened. I was like, you know, I'm going to love this forever, and he's going to hate it.
Yeah, I was like, this is the Drew Barrymore of this movie. They get somebody that's reasonably famous to, you know, it's like, oh, shit, she's in this movie. And then like, no, she ain't. Not for long.
You know what I didn't like about that is the truth, and the killer called it out. He's like, you were dumb enough. You teach a class on this. And you are dumb enough.
Oh, but I love every reference to that film class, though, because they name drop so much stuff. Because, you know, I forget what you call it, gelatos.
Yes.
They mentioned that, you know, just like we covered beginning of the season, because one of the killers that killed her, I mentioned the fact that he hated her because she gave him a C on his Giallo review that he wrote or whatever. So.
They must have said Giallo like 20-ish times just in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, they covered that, throwing it back to the slasher roots. I mean, this movie's like meta all the way around. They covered that. Then they go into the part where, I mean, she's like rattling off like, you know, what she loves about the genre and how it like relates to, you know, like the times that people are living in. And I love that whole little meta discussion from her, even though she did pull the ultimate If we get award a dumbest moment for this one, it has to be her going into that alleyway. I mean,
yeah.
It's straight up the dumbest moment.
Yeah. We had a couple of Jason Voorhees moments. We had a character by the name of Jason, so obvious. And he got to witness his own type of murder. Jason got to witness a Jason type of murder with a body in the fridge.
Yes, and that was actually, that harkened back to Friday 2, which is funny because at the end of the movie, that's what I believe Minnie, or toward the end of the movie, Minnie, which is, or Mindy, I believe is her name, Randy's niece, her and Kirby, who's back in the movie, you know,
surprise.
When they're like bonding together over their love of horror movies, like she asked her what her favorite Friday is, and Mindy says Part 2, and it's funny that he finds a head in the fridge like Jason did in Part 2.
Yeah, he finds more than a head in the fridge.
But Did you notice that he was watching though? Which Jason movie he was watching?
Oh, he was watching a Jason movie, and I could not figure it out. Which one was it?
Jason Takes Manhattan, of course, because it's set in New York. It was great.
Oh, okay, and I haven't seen that one yet that I know of.
No, we have not covered that one, but
yeah.
When I saw that, I was like, oh my God, that's perfect.
And I was thinking, wait, how did they get the rights to this? I was like, okay, I'm going to research that later. I have not researched it.
It's because Paramount owns that, and they own the Scream franchise.
Perfect.
Which is very nice that there's that, you know, little bit of back and forth there. Even though New Line for a bit got access to Jason, that's the reason that the later movies after Part 8 have him, like, you know, with mixing and Freddy. So, but we'll get to that on our next podcast a little bit about the Freddys of it all, which they did mention Freddy too. So they gave him his due in this movie as well.
And the person that was in the fridge, I could not help but notice, and it was very quickly, and they did a good job because it was very shocking to see this body in the fridge. It looked very good, but you only got just enough of it to be like, and then it's gone. Was he wearing a Freddy Krueger sweater? Did you notice?
I didn't look at it close enough.
Okay.
And now that you say that, I wished I had.
It's a blink and you'll miss it moment, honestly.
I was just admiring the effects work on that, because honestly, up to this point, Scream has never done like a body like they did in that scene, and they pulled it off. It was good.
Yeah. Spoiler alert too, these kills are off the chain, brutal as a human murderer can get. And technically there is 5 killers, but not 5 Ghostface. The 2 at the beginning that had intentions. Actually, one pulled off a kill.
Yeah, there was 2. Yeah, 2. Well, yeah, Greg was going to, but he didn't. Mm-hmm. And then Jason did, and that was my whole favorite thing, is because you got a Ghostface killer in Jason.
Yeah.
But then Jason got Ghostface killed himself.
Yes.
So then that set, it's like, okay, this movie's like, we don't know what's happening at this point.
Oh my God! So you will suspect everyone. And I'm going to ask you right now, did you kind of figure it out at any point?
No, and here's the reason why. Because I intentionally didn't want to try to solve it.
Okay.
I will tell you this, though. I kept thinking, and that's the reason that the one fake reveal, and we're just going to go ahead and say this stuff because there's no, it's a spoiler cast. But there was the fake out with Kirby possibly being the killer for a split second. And the reason I bought that was because I was thinking prior to that, I was like, the only person who would have access to these masks that should have been in police custody, because they were the mask of, and I love that fact too, they were the mask of the killers from every other Scream movie.
Yep.
When they brought that up, I was like, well, the only person who would have access to that had to have had access to the to the police lockup. So it has to be somebody involved with the police force.
Yeah.
And so when they said that Kirby, when it was set up, I was like, oh shit. And then whenever they did the flip and it was, the other cop that had been working with them the entire movie, I was like, okay, at least it was a cop. I was right in that,
When I found out who the killers were, and guys, there's 3 of them. So
they made up for they make comment about how Roman's the only killer in part 3, and they make up for that by legit throwing in a third one in this one to make up for that lone killer.
Yeah, there's
3
Ghostface. We get a scene of 2 Ghostface in one scene, and I loved it. I was here for it. You've never seen that before, and watch it, and one of the girls got to watch someone get brutally slashed by 2 Ghostface who both look up at her and wipe their knives in the same manner as if they were twins. Now, the one thing that upset me when I found out who the killers were was that I couldn't believe that one of the killers, who looks just like his brother, who was a killer in a previous film, and I was like, this motherfucker looks just like him. How did I not put that together? Even though they kept accusing him.
I told my wife that on the drive back from watching the movie. I told her, I was like, and I don't know why I didn't pick that the one kid as being the killer, because I said he looks like fucking Jack Quaid.
Yes.
I mean, it's right there in front of you.
Yeah, he really does. And so there you go. There's one of your killers right there.
And then there's the fake out with the roommate, which was amazing, because I was like, I'd already written her off. I'm like, okay, well, but then she pops back out. I'm like, God damn it, they got me. Like, I didn't expect like a fake out death in that sense.
Yeah, and here's the thing. At the very beginning, when we get an immediate Ghostface kill, and then we get an immediate reveal, I was like, wow, he fucking really did kill her. 1, fucking crazy. 2, we know who the killer is the whole film. Like, I had really pondered that.
Oh, I was wondering that too. Whenever they first revealed Jason in the movie, and who's supposed to be Reggie, who's supposed to be on a date with Samara Weaving, I was like, okay, they revealed the killer already. This is completely against their type. And then and I love the fact that, because they set up the whole thing about how they were going to finish Richie's movie, and then I was like, oh, okay, that's some bullshit, crap from like that's continuing on. But no, then they get killed, and I'm like, okay, all right, so the whole making the movie thing is out the window now, because the killer even says this isn't a fucking movie, and then finishes him off. So
yeah, it's fucking it's brutal, and you don't stop. I swear to God, don't get up, don't go to the bathroom, just sit through it because there's action throughout the whole film.
The one thing I loved was the tense moments in the movie. There was two of them that stood out. The scene, and they were both, they both involved Sam and was it Tara? Is that her name? General Ortega's sister?
I think she's Tara.
They both involved them to a degree, but the first one is them inside of the convenience store when they're running away from Ghostface.
Yeah.
And Ghostface has a fucking shotgun. So, God. It totally changes the dynamic because they can't just rush the killer. They've got to play it smart, and they're trying to hide and do all that. So that was really tense. And then the scene on the subway train, because they brilliantly set this during Halloween, and they were on a packed subway train with Michael Myers mask, Pinhead. I loved all the references to other movies in those scenes.
Oh, yeah.
And then, of course, it was loaded with Ghostface, mask or whatever, because they set it up earlier in the movie that the sales of those, since the kills had started, had skyrocketed.
Oh, yeah.
And so it just, you kept looking. It's like, is that going to be the one? Is that going to be the one? So it always kept you on your toes.
Yeah. And it was, there's a kill on the subway, and you're like, an attempted murder, if you will. And I was like, after I found out who the killers were, I was like, okay, was it the brother and he just managed to get out of his gear and check on? Or was it the sister who stayed?
I think his sister was the one that attacked. And then to set up the fake out, then he rushed in to save her. So.
Yes. So you get thrown around a lot, which is awesome because it's really hard to pin it down unless you listen to a spoiler before you go watch the fucking movie. And in that case, what the fuck are you doing here?
Oh, speaking of that, I did have something spoiled right before I went and watched the movie. Like literally 30 to 40 minutes before I went to watch it, I had something spoiled. So I was on Facebook and I saw that post about the fact that this movie is like breaking franchise records. Mm-hmm. And I tagged you in it.
Yes.
And right after I tagged you, I saw a post from somebody that said, I am so happy that Gail survived. And I'm like, God damn it. Like, what? I was like, and then when I was watching the movie, they set it up so perfectly. It's like, oh God, they killed her this time. And then, that last second, it's like, we still got a pulse. And I was like, well, that was ruined. I was hoping that the person lied just to get like people's go. No, it was a spoiler that some idiot just posted on some random Facebook post. So
what a stupid ass. But I guess that would, because she gets. I mean, you for sure thought she got taken out. However, the ambulance came in. They're like, light pulse. They jumped on it, so it's like she could survive this. What I am surprised is that Chad survived getting brutally slashed by two at the same time.
Chad got the Dewey save after he got the Dewey kill. Like, I mean, they straight up gutted him like Dewey got in the last movie, but yet he got the thumbs up, barely surviving, last second save like Dewey got in the original movie. So
yeah, he's gonna come out looking like 50 Cent. Okay, he's except with stab wounds.
I was going to ask you something about that. Well, two things. First of all, so they set it up pretty well that if you go back and rewatch it, that the cop was in on it because he's deliberately trying to keep Sam and Tara from going to save Gail. Like if you remember that scene, he's like, "Oh no, don't go there," and they're like, "Fuck you," and they take his car anyways. So that was him trying to set it up to where nobody could actually save Gail, and if they hadn't showed up, she would have died.
Yeah,
but here's the thing. I think they should have killed either her or Chad. And I don't know which. I almost feel like Gail should have been the one to go in this movie. Like, as bad as I hate to say that, I feel like Gail's time is kind of up. Like,
they barely used her in the movie. She was like Sidney Prescott was in the previous film where she was like, well, if you need me, I'm there.
Yeah, and they did that, and then they had her come in there and totally undersell Kirby's abilities as an FBI agent.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think setting Kirby up is like the next, Sydney/Gale is actually the better setup in the long run anyways. I'm fine with that, honestly. That might be blasphemy to everybody listening to this. I mean, I love Neve Campbell, but, I mean, Kirby was great in this movie.
Yeah. I'm gonna say something that I think it makes it make sense as to why Chad would have survived. Same with Jenna Ortega, is that you don't see the knife go all the way through anybody's body. Well, a few. Excuse me. I take the ones that really got fucked up and likely ended up dying. The only ones I know of. But like when they went down and they stabbed multiple times, it was literally just the tip, just for a second.
Just the tip.
Just the tip. And so, yeah, they're getting wounded. And yes, there's going to be lots of blood loss, but less severe damage to major organs. Because Jenna Ortega gets stabbed, which I don't even think it would have gone too deep, but she gets stabbed near the kidneys. She gets stabbed in the back of the shoulder and the kidneys, and I'm like, ow, fuck.
Well, you got to remember too, she was brutally stabbed in part 5. I mean, like that very first intro scene with her on the phone. I honestly, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of remarkable that she survived that. So. Oh
yeah, honestly, and then Chad got a bunch of not slashes, but stabs, but they were very quick and very short. And I'm like, I guess that's the only way he would have survived, barely survived, because he definitely lost a lot of blood.
The one thing that kind of stinks in a sense is the way that they brought Mindy back, because like, I mean, I'm fine with her surviving. I mean, because one of the Randy's, analogs needs to survive, but I didn't like the fact that like it almost seemed like she got like her entire guts like rearranged with it in that scene.
Yeah.
Like, it was very, very intense, and like she would have had to have a colon resection based upon like how she was cut, and like at the end of the movie she's just bounding through there.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
well, same with Jenna Ortega. She gets fucked up pretty good, and she's just running around and stabbing killers with her sister, and
yeah,
I mean,
that's probably the negative to this movie, honestly. Yeah. I mean, because the stabs are so brutal, but then like in the first movie, like if somebody got hurt, like they got really hurt, like Stu. I mean, like he wasn't even hurt nearly as bad, but like you could tell from the blood loss and everything, he was barely hanging on. So
what's the will to live? I get that there is that, but like especially with Mindy, she was at the hospital. There's no hospital that would have let her go in her condition. And she's like, I came here to help you guys. I know you need help. Like, bitch, no, we do not need you. We need able-bodied people.
And when she did show up, she should have been like hobbling, like groaning, like holding her guts. I mean, like her stomach, because she was just patched up. And like I said, the way that she stabbed it looks like she had intestinal damage.
Oh, yeah. It was a stab and a twist, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought so. I know that her girlfriend got the same kind of treatment.
Ooh,
but then,
that girl got fucked up. And she was dying. Like, she was like, I'm fucking dying.
Yeah, like, and then her trying, and I knew that she wasn't going to make it across on that ladder. I knew, or one of the two wouldn't, and like, and then it ended up being her. Her kill was probably the best in the movie, just because being thrown down and like how her face just got so fucked up.
And they showed it. Which, by the way, I always accuse my daughter of being a little psycho. We were both maniacally laughing at this scene as soon as he started shaking that ladder. Tell me that shit wasn't fucking funny, or was it just us? That was so smart. He could have totally like dragged it back. He could have got on there and like stabbed at her legs.
Well, what I thought he was going to do, you're right. I thought he was going to like maybe take it and then like push it out. But then if he had, she could have held on to work, because it was a ladder. If they would have held it on the other side, she could have maybe tried to climb up it once it, Yeah,
like, but if he cut her Achilles tendon, she wasn't climbing up shit.
Oh, I don't remember her getting that cut.
No, she didn't. If he did, I thought that's what he was going to do. But instead, he starts shaking the ladder, and little Lucifina and I just started, like, this is going to happen. We're going to see this bitch go down.
Yeah, like literally just like thumping the ladder up and down to get her to,
and it looked so real. It was so good. Like, I mean, because it was real, but it was just... Oh, this is too easy. Like, you couldn't see it in his face, but you could see it in the movements. Like, oh, fucking, like fish in a barrel, dude.
And just going back to it, because I mentioned the two things about the Randys, what's on my mind. Chad really stepped up and picked up the portion of Randy's personality, I feel like, or, Jamie Kennedy's in this, where especially in the scene where he's talking to what's ends up being one of the killers, but, his roommate, and he's like trying to coach him into like getting a girl. that whole conversation just seemed like something that Jamie Kennedy would like roll off the cuff or something.
Oh,
like
yeah.
I was getting a lot of vibes of that from him. And it was a big step up from the last movie because he was just kind of there in part 5. But in this one, I'm like, I saw the personality coming through. It was geeky, but it was confident geeky. And I'm like, I like that. I like where they're going with that character.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of good character buildup. I didn't like the Randy twins, to be honest with you. Yes, they did step it up. I'm going to at least say that.
Well, that's the one negative I have is the fact that they stepped the Randy personality with Chad, but then like Mindy basically just gets like I'm the horror nerd expert part of Randy's. And then especially with Kirby back, I don't know that we need that. Like, I mean, we didn't. She could have died. Yeah, I mean that scene on the train that could have been fine if she would have like exited the movie. I like the fact that they set up the core 4 as part of it, like going to the next movie, because when one of them dies, it's going to be probably more brutal now because they allowed them to survive.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of the two Randys could have went because they're trying to play two sides to Randy's personality, and I think one of them could fully embrace that and just move on if they went that route.
They set up in one of the trailers, and I don't remember hearing it in the movie. In the trailer, they set it up when Ghostface was going after Gale, like, I'm not a usual, Ghostface killer. I'm a different kind of killer. And I was like, is he fucking supernatural or something? Is he an actual Ghostface? Like, what the fuck? And I didn't see that at all in the film. Did you?
I don't remember that line in the film, and I avoided everything I could about the previews because I did not want anything spoiled for me. That actually made the movie so much better going into it cold. But
yeah, I mean, I mostly did. I only saw the trailers that you saw at the movie theater. I mean, obviously we saw one when I saw Cocaine Bear. Catch that review.
Tangent, but I saw the trailer for the extended trailer for Evil Dead Rise, and it pissed me off that I saw it because I've been trying to avoid that trailer too outside of the little teaser, and I was like, wait a minute, this is like in the rural, but it's got a lot of evil. Is this Evil Dead Rise? And then I was like, fuck, I did not want to see this extended trailer. I wanted to go in and just like,
Why didn't you turn away? Why didn't you go to the bathroom?
Because I'm just, it's a completionist thing. Like if I started, I have to finish, watching it or whatever.
Are you like that episode of South Park where every time Cartman hears the beginning of Come Sail Away?
You have to finish the whole thing. Basically, yeah. I mean, I do have that. I don't know if that's like OCD, autism, whatever that is, but like it bothers me. It's like I've never walked out of a movie, even the ones Fear.com was probably the worst one that me and my wife ever watched in the movie theater, and I should have probably walked out of it. But like, I was just like, I paid for this fucking thing. I'm not walking out.
Yeah, there's rare a movie. I've walked out of one movie in my life, but it wasn't a horror film, so I'll give it that. Going
back to Ghostface, though, I just want to mention that mask that the main one's wearing, that aged mask. I love that look.
Yes. There's a few aged masks. Were you sad a little bit about Stu Macher?
Not being in it?
Yeah.
No, because two things. They referenced him so much in this movie. It's a huge setup, even talking about TV screen. And then like there's that comment that one of them makes, and I don't remember now if it's Mindy or whoever, is like, did he actually die? And then, they kind of leave it open. And then Matthew Lillard was recently interviewed at a convention, and they asked him, they's like, are you in the new Scream? And he's like, I'm not currently.
Yes.
In Scream. And they were like, do you care to repeat that? And he's like, I'm not currently in Scream. And that's all he would say.
Yeah.
So
good on him. I would say that anyways, even if I wasn't even hired to be in any of the newer ones. Like,
but I really think they're setting up Stu to be the ultimate villain in the last if this is a trilogy, which I'm assuming it is,
it would be fan service, to be honest with you, because how do you hide the fact that someone like that died? Like, did they not have a funeral for him? That would be all over the place. They would have been discussing it for years. Well, Stu never died, we don't know what happened to him, or blah blah, or he was in the mental institution. They've never discussed that.
Yeah, they've never brought it back up. I mean, like we said in part 3, the one of the rewrites of it was originally going to have him in prison, and then he was going to orchestrate the kills from prison, but then they done away with that whole plot because it involved using high schoolers and Columbine, and so, but they've never went back and referenced him otherwise. This is the first movie that really is like what about Stu? Well, they set it up in 5 too. That's no reason why I think he's going to be the killer in the 7th one, because it was his nephew that was killed first in that movie, if you remember, to the Red Right Hand song. And they made a big point. It's like, well, Stu's nephew, and I'm like, well, why are they bringing Stu back into this?
Yeah.
I was so giddy with all of the references to old movies whenever they went into that later on to the villain's lair, and they had all of like the drawings, which were very fucking well done.
Yeah.
I want those drawings, to be honest.
It was a whole ass museum.
And then I got chills down my back whenever, like, Mindy, I believe it was like, this is Uncle Randy's shirt, like referencing him.
Oh, they had what's his name's shirt, Billy Loomis's actual shirt. I remembered it just seeing it because I remember he had this V-neck white shirt, which I thought was so cheesy, but they had it.
It's trailer trash. It fits him big time.
Oh my god. The knives, the case, the glass case, and all the ghost face kind of just standing next to it. Which why did they make him the main one? Technically, it should have been him and Stu.
Yeah, but they made Billy the main one just to draw her out because they wanted her to.
Yeah.
But I love that too. She's still seeing Billy. Skeet's back. Like, I mean, I was like, fuck yes. Like, they're still going along with this.
Ooh.
And even at the end of it, she had the mask there, and she was like, you could tell that she was wanting to move to the dark side.
Yeah, come to
and
the
they
dark
did
side.
the whole thing where Tara brought her back, but they've left the door open enough to where, she. If Stu can, Stu might be if he might be the kind of mastermind, if they bring him back, that tries to bring the Billy out of her. If you understand what I'm saying, like,
she's definitely got the devil inside.
Yeah, and not the way that the person in this, or the guy in this movie did, but like more of an insidious way of bringing her out. That way.
Oh yeah. Did you get to see the music video?
I did not watch that. Sorry, the Demi Lovato. I did not see that.
Wait, they didn't play it at the beginning of your movie?
No, it did not.
Okay.
They played some fucking Jennifer Lawrence movie trailer before this one. That looks awful.
Yeah.
Like, that is some horse shit. Like, I don't care if she is the first woman to ever do anything in cinema. Like, this movie is fucking shit.
How dare you talk about Our Lady and Savior?
She might have been the first final girl, but her new movie looks like dog shit. Like, she is legit like an Uber driver hired to be an escort to a very, very young man. It's very
creepy.
Pedo-like, to be honest.
Switch it around is all I gotta say. Have a mom hire a fucking male prostitute, an older male prostitute, to bring the whore out of her daughter.
Yeah.
Basically.
And that's basically what the movie is. And you could sit there and argue, well, they did stuff like this back in, like the 80s with regards to like Porky's and some of that stuff. But the guys were willingly going after the older women and that. This guy's having this woman force herself onto him. It's a whole other vibe.
It's a different kind of creepy that we did not expect to see with our film. The character, why can't I be Skeet Ulrich, is actually in that music video. He's like some kind of cinema guy. There's a couple others. The thing about her music video is it's a slasher music video. Lots of people are dead. Lots of people are found dead, which is so awesome. And he was one of them that was found dead. I did not recognize him. He is, he's not looking as good these days.
Oh, that's surprising because, like, it's not been that long ago. Maybe it probably has now. It's probably been about 5 or 6 years now to think about it. But I think back to when Riverdale started up, and I mean, for an older dude, like, he aged up nice.
He's not terrible.
And,
he's just looking. He's looking a little war torn to me. Honestly, he's getting real skinny too.
It might be in the years since that first season of Riverdale that he, like, age finally caught up to him. Because, I mean, Johnny Depp for the longest time didn't look like he was really aging. And then, like, lately, I mean, and Amber Heard could have just sucked the life out of him, to be perfectly honest. But,
yeah, like,
he looks rough now.
Yeah, so Skeet's looking a little rough. I did not recognize him at all in the music video, but he's in it. They definitely change his face to look like his younger self a little bit, obviously with the CG. And
some people, I could see if somebody wanted to complain about the CG of how they do his face because it is a little weird. But again, it's her hallucination of a man that she never actually met.
Yeah, and he's not supposed to be aged.
Yeah, and pictures, and it's also the way they do it. It's like really recessed in the glass case,
Yeah.
so it's a little bit easier to forgive in this
Oh,
one.
100% it is. I'm not upset with it at all. I'm trying to think. Do we want to discuss the cast that's in here at all, or are you going to go through the list of people who played who?
I mean, we can. I mean, we can go through it. I wasn't thinking anything official, but I mean, as far as like the billing, Courtney Cox has got top billing again. That must have been like a stipulation because if you watch the end credits, like her name. But by the way, there's a post-credit scene. Don't know if you're aware of that. I'm glad I didn't stay for it because it's really minor. Do you want to know what it was if you didn't watch it?
I'm wondering if I did see it, so please tell me.
It is Mindy popping back up, and she's basically pulling a Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool type moment where she's like looking at the camera and she's like, do you guys really have to have a post-credit scene after everything or something to that effect? And then it just cuts off, you know?
Okay.
So it's one of those.
We didn't catch that. We stayed I thought we stayed deep, but I guess not.
I stayed through the mid-credits where they, they did the homage back to the original screen, which they've done it in all the ones since then too. Where they show the cast and they show like a still from the movie with their name next to it.
Oh, I loved that. Yeah, that was pretty good.
But Courtney Cox is back as Gail Weathers. Melissa Barrera is back as Sam Carpenter. Shaping up to be one of my favorite final girls in especially the new generation, just because I love that dark angle to her. I love it. Jenna Ortega, technically a final girl too, and they're going the complete hero route. They're almost doing a Sam and Dean with her and with Tara and Sam, and to be perfectly honest with you, because Tara's are shaping up to be like the pure hero, like the Sidney Prescott character of the new franchise. Which, by the way, I don't know if you saw the new news, but Jenna Ortega is the it girl now for anything goth related. She is being cast in the new Tim Burton sequel to Beetlejuice.
Yes, I did see that. I didn't know if it was real, but I was like, if they're talking about Jenna Ortega, probably. Who is she playing?
Yeah, they're going to make her Winona Ryder's daughter. Now,
if
they write Winona, it'll be cool, but if they better not write Winona out of the movie, because I feel like they have to have her come back and interact with Michael Keaton. I agree. Jasmine Savoy Brown plays Mindy Meeks Martin again. And better than this movie.
Yes,
she's still probably the least of the core four, if you want to call them that. Mm-hmm. And that's also the reason why I'm like, if they have to kill one of the Randys, then okay. Mason Gooding is back as Chad Meeks Martin. He's my preferred of the two Randy, wannabes, because I feel like he kind of gets more of that Jamie Kennedy vibe, like I said earlier.
Yeah. Real quick. Very pretentious for this mom to give her kids the hyphenated last name Meeks Martin.
I see that so much now in my job that it's just, and it makes it hard too, because you got to remember, like, computer systems, when you're trying to look up a person's name, they hate hyphens. They hate it. And like the system does, the computer does. So when you're trying to look somebody up, you can't find them, and then the person's getting pissed, and it's like you're sitting there thinking, it's like, well, if you didn't have the hyphenated names, we wouldn't have this issue.
Trust me, Reverend. I know.
Oh, I'm sure, being, Latina, you would know all about that.
That was my choice. I could have changed that. I didn't. I made a mistake, and I will 100% admit it. But you know what I didn't do? I didn't pass that on to my children. They are not. And I'm like, Meeks Martin, I know they're trying to have people remember Randy Meeks, but we fucking get it, okay?
Yeah. And it didn't need to be done, but whatever. Skeet Ulrich is playing Billy Loomis again. Roger Jackson, I don't know if you noticed this, when they showed Ghostface at the end of the movie, they actually put Roger Jackson over Ghostface, like, in that little end credit scene that I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Like, they put Roger Jackson. I'm like, kudos to him. I don't know if he actually had his name attached to Ghostface before, but they did in this movie, so I was happy about that.
Yeah.
Dermot Mulroney, which this guy, there's two actors in Hollywood, him and I can't remember the other guy's name, because it's like a variation of this guy's name. The one that was in American Horror Story Murder House.
Oh, yes. Dean Dermot or something, or...
It's a very similar name.
Hold on, I'll find it.
But my main thing about them is that like I feel like they're almost like those type of actors that like that you're like, am I talking about this one or am I talking about that one? You always go. It's like Keira Knightley and what am I blanking on her name from Star Wars that played
Princess
Queen
Leia.
Amidala.
Yeah. Oh, look at us. We have two different.
It's like
Dylan
they look
McDermott.
alike, you know. And it's one of those things. It's just like it's when I saw this guy, I kept thinking, I was like, where have I saw him from? Like, but he's been in a ton of stuff, so it wouldn't surprise me if that. Dylan McDermott is his name, by the way.
Which I did scream out. And I can't get. Is it Natalie Portman?
Natalie Portman, yes,
yeah.
That is who I was trying to think of. Yeah, her and Keira Knightley, like, especially there for a time, like they even looked alike. Like, it was really weird. Which, by the way, I saw some kind of thing from Keira Knightley, and it was one of those things that you just groan when you see it. Like, it was this comment saying that she wishes that she had never been like she had never allowed them to sexualize her and make her like a sex icon. And I'm just like, please.
In what? She's gorgeous anyway. She was going to be a sex icon if she was just standing there. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but she tried to say that because of some of the things, the way that they, in the Pirates movies, that the way they portrayed her, that she ended up becoming more sexualized, and she feels like that typecast her. And I'm just like, you always hear that bullshit from very attractive actresses. And it's like, I wished I could complain about something like that. It's like, oh, I'm just so pretty. I wish they hadn't done that to me,
Yeah. Shut up.
Jack Champion plays Ethan Landry, who is looks like Jack Quaid for a reason.
Oh my God, it's so funny. They did a really good job with that casting.
Yeah, they really did. I feel like that guy's got a career ahead of him, that Jack Champion, because he had screen presence. Like every time he popped up on screen, like he reminded me of somebody I've seen in like another actor.
Oh yeah,
not Jack Quaid specifically, but somebody else. And I'm just like, he's got that face that fits like that type of role that you're looking for.
Oh yeah, for sure. And he plays the goofy kid so well, and he plays the psycho murder so well.
Yeah, he really did both.
He's
of
going
them.
places, I think.
Yeah, I think he's going to be. I think this movie's going to give him like some outs to go in different directions.
I hope so.
Josh Segarra plays Danny Brackett. I was really impressed by that guy. You don't normally get a strong male character in like most modern movies, like a straight up like protective, macho type. And this guy played that to a T, and then they didn't make him bumbling. They didn't make him stupid like they always do. He was a competent, alpha guy. That's what he was.
He unwillingly walked away from the situation too when he was told to, out of respect for her. But he was fucking terrified for her, and he did, but he didn't. He was like, "I'm gonna walk away, but I'm gonna send you some backup."
And he even told her, he said, he made the comment to her. He's like, I totally respect why you're doing this. He said, but then he let her know that he still cared about her. And I'm like, you don't get that kind of character from Hollywood anymore. It was surprising.
I thought he was going to die. And they kept calling him Hot Guy in the film, which was so funny.
Yeah, especially from Jenna Ortega. I want to make a comment about her in this movie. Like, I don't know what to think about her. Like, some of the scenes, like early on in the movie, especially when they had like, I can't remember how Chad phrased it, but it was date rape Frank or Frankie or whatever.
Yeah.
Like when she was with him, she looked like a child, and I'm just like, okay, this is creepy. But then there's those scenes, especially with her and Chad, where they were almost kissing, and it's like, she's hot again. Like, I don't know what to think about her. It's like she can turn that, like, that sex, sexualized, type behavior on, and just like in an instant.
Yeah, and that's really good that she's got a wide range. I was thinking too today. I saw a picture of her. My husband absolutely. I'm not allowed to wear red lipstick. It makes me look, I guess, too chola, too Mexican or whatever. Like the Mexican women in my family who wear tacky makeup. He can't handle it, and I don't blame him. He's been traumatized. folks. So you have to give him at least that. And I could wear red lipstick if I want to. He just doesn't prefer it, and I don't like to do things like that he doesn't prefer, you know? But going back to that, Jenna Ortega was wearing a red lipstick. I thought she looked amazing in it, but I also thought it made her look like an older woman. I would have guessed this photo, she looked like she was probably around 36, but she looked like a young 36, where if you told someone, I'm 36 years old, they'd be like, oh, really? I would have guessed young 20s. You know, or 20s, late 20s. But I was like, it really aged her a lot. And I was like, she's got one of those faces where sometimes she looks like a baby and sometimes she looks like an older woman. And I was like, this is so weird.
And I think you're right. I think the makeup makes a huge difference because I feel like she was almost sans makeup, like whenever she was at the party, and it made her look like a child. And then like later, it was just like almost like the vamp came out of her, and it's just like okay. I mean, I don't. It's just really confusing with her.
Well, in the creepiest way possible. This is why I say she'll do real good in Hollywood.
Unfortunately, yes. In that sense, I'm happy for her, but unfortunate in the way that comes about. Liana Liberato plays Quinn Bailey in this. She just plays the standard bimbo at one point, and then of course, then she plays a pretty good killer, pretty good psycho. I think she was probably the least of the killers, though. Definitely.
I don't know. I wasn't thrilled when I found out it was her, and I wasn't anything when I found her. I wasn't surprised. I wasn't unsurprised. I wasn't anything. I was just like, ugh, okay. On to the dad and the brother, because that's what I'm buying, you know?
Yeah, the dad and the brother sold it for sure. I mean, and she was fine. I mean, like she totally wasn't. I mean, like we said, really the biggest nitpick for me is the fact that some of the people who got brutally stabbed were more up and about than they should have been. But as far as the killers, I mean, she to say that she was the least is not a bad thing. It just she was. I mean,
that's just how it was. They didn't play her up too much.
Yeah. Devin Nakota plays Nika Kyoko.
Best death scene.
She played the sexy lesbian, bisexual, whatever girlfriend to Mindy. She was fine in that role.
And she served a purpose. And like I said, the best death scene by all hands down.
Mm-hmm. And she was the best death scene in the movie. So she gets that credit to her name.
Mm-hmm.
Hayden Panettiere's back. Kirby Reed. Love the fact that she's back in the series, and I like the way they've positioned her as like kind of the Gale / Cindy going forward.
Yeah. Please get rid of that fucking Southerner Bob though. Holy crap! Did she look like she need to be making me some fucking biscuits with extra butter?
I don't know. I didn't mind it as bad just because
you're from the South.
The way that she was wearing her jacket and prominently displaying those tatas, I was perfectly fine.
You're
with
the worst.
So.
Which, by the way, best boobs, covered boobs, but best.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even if they were covered. Tony Revolori plays Jason Carvey, gets carved up in the beginning of the movie. Samara Weaving plays Laura Crane.
Died too soon. Gone too soon.
And Andre Anthony plays Frankie.
Irrelevant.
Got tased to the nuts. Man, that would hurt.
Oh, my God.
And then Henry Czerny plays Dr. Christopher Stone. I had a major beef with that guy. I mean, who is sitting there listening to he knows her past. He's read about her.
Yeah.
And then when she opens up, then he gets scared of her. Like, what
this
the
is
fuck?
too much.
Like, seriously.
Oh, I was glad when he died.
Yeah, I mean, one of the worst psychologists you could possibly have in a movie. Like, I mean, just outright bad. And
it was funny because he was not when Ghostface was at the door, but you didn't know it was Ghost. Well, we knew it was Ghostface, but he didn't quite. He's like, it's a little early for Halloween, so you can't even see through those windows that are on your door. Like, what do you mean it's early for Halloween? Like, shut up.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out what movie he was watching. Was it Invasion of the Body Snatchers or something? It kind of looked like that, like the old version, like what was on his TV screen that he was watching that night.
Don't know. That I'm not. Yeah, I wasn't in that. I was just like, oh, he's gonna die.
And then directors are the same as the last film, which they're doing a bang up job. Matt Bertinelli Open and Tyler Gillette.
Mm-hmm.
And then the writers, James Vanderbilt and Guy Busick. I gotta give them credit. I love the story in this.
Oh,
I really did.
I like where they took it for sure. I mean, you did not feel safe in this movie. If you were in the shoes of the characters, no one felt safe.
But I just I love the through story that they're doing, because like as soon as I saw like that like when Sam answers the phone for the first time from the killer and somebody is using Richie's old number, I was like, that's brilliant. That is fucking brilliant.
Brilliant and fucked up. And I was like, how did they get their hands on that? But it makes so much sense because it's the dad and the brother and the sister.
Yeah. I sent to Cody, I was like, you have to watch this movie. And then he's like, do I have to watch part 5? Or he said, can I skip part 5 or is it relevant? And I was like, oh, it's very relevant. I didn't want to try to hint that, but I was like, but if you don't watch it, I mean, even if you don't go the route of like figuring out that it's Richie's family and there's a connection there, without, I mean, the Richie connection of it, you know, the mention, you know, like how Gail reacts to seeing like, you know, stuff from Dewey, like later on. None of that hits home as much if you've not watched part 5. It really does.
And it's not the worst of the sequels to watch either. So
no, it's not part 3.
No, by any means.
I like the fact they took the piss out of Roman Bridger though. Like
that's messed up. I did not like. I thought that story was okay. I could see a movie producer pulling that off is what I'm getting at, you know, depending on how well you know the art.
But it was impossible. He shouldn't have been able to go in all the places. He teleported. He was the only ghost face that teleported.
What are you trying to say? No, I'm just kidding.
But I do like I mean, I don't know like how much the Red Right Hand was back in it. The music was pretty decent in this movie overall.
Music was decent in the movie for sure. Fit the times, and not so much that you're like, I mean, you didn't have that. I guess, well, okay, I told you, and I sent you photos. I did say that Demi Lovato did make a special. It's called Still Alive. And we were just talking about this is where's the music that you used to get with films? And I'll be damned if I didn't, you know, enjoy not only the music video, but enjoy the song. It wasn't half bad at all, actually. And it really brought back, I don't know, a lot of nostalgia for me of, man, like this is what it used to be like. We used to get a badass song or a cool song in relation to the movie. They would use that to promote the movie. Now, they didn't do that for this film. At least I haven't seen it prior to actually going to I went to an early premiere. I got to see the movie before a lot of public audiences got to see it with the fan event that I went to. So I don't know. I was happy with that. Would I have been happy if it was someone else? I guess, but she pulled it off, you know? I'm going to give her credit where credit's due, despite how stupid she is over sugar-free ice cream.
Oh, that's not the only thing she's stupid about.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't call aliens because that's an offensive term. And then Ghost need her to sing to them from the able to move on to the other side. I mean, she's straight up retarded. But, I mean...
Yeah, but I don't know. It looks like she's been on her meds. So
the music in this was to the point where, I mean, it's of the time, but it's also not so in your face that I feel like it's going to age well.
Exactly.
Because what I think of is, you know, the extreme scenario that really stinks is if you remember the original Spider-Man movie. Mm-hmm. And there's that whole scene where Macy Gray has like a concert and she's singing and God, I couldn't stand her back at the time. And then like you watch it now and it's like, yeah, this is definitely from the early 2000s. Like, you know, there's some things like that stand out.
Yeah. I will say this. If you are a song and you're in a Scream movie, I am so sorry if they put you in as well as the Red Right Hand, you're not going to match up.
I have a question for you, just because I've been reading through the little bit of trivia on IMDb for like certain things. What are your thoughts about how they wrote Sydney out of it? I thought it was okay. I've heard people complaining on the internet, but I thought it was all right.
I wasn't the biggest fan of it, but it works. I'd be lying if I said, they could have did something better. I don't know what they could have done better.
I mean, it was quick and simple. It was she was really worried about her and her family, so her and Mark are like bunkered up somewhere.
Yeah, they deserve their happy ending, and it's like, don't tell me it's over.
That part probably didn't need to be said, honestly, but...
Yeah, and so why are you here, Gail? Like, it really didn't get I want to help. No, like, yes, you want the story too, and it was the typical Gail story. She shows up for an exclusive with the girls, and then she just gets wound into helping, and she got fucked up. Although I've seen her get fucked up worse in other films, I feel like. Well, maybe not, actually. I don't know. They also didn't use her very much in the film, too. I feel like she was just available when she was available,
Yeah, I kind of feel like that she just did this as like a, peace offering to like, maybe she felt like to the fans, but also, I mean, because I feel like without David Arquette there, I don't know that she really has the heart to keep doing these, to be honest.
Yeah, she's and the age is really showing, and they're putting her up with some really young ass kids. There's no one older left with her.
Yeah, she's like, and it makes her look so much worse too, because we mentioned at the last, movie, like she's aged so much worse than like Neve Campbell.
Yeah.
And amongst these fresh-faced younger women, like it's just like
she's gotta hate it. I was like, she doesn't look terrible. I'm giving you she looks better than a lot of women her age do, but
she
she's
looks
also
better than Madonna. Well, but that's not saying anything for anybody.
Well, you can tell she stopped with the face work too. Courtney Cox has definitely stopped. She went through that, whatever she went through, wasn't happy with it. She's definitely stopped. You can tell. I can't tell you how disappointed I was, like, between when she first did that, because like, like Scream and Scream 2, gorgeous woman, and like most of the run of Friends, like all throughout that, just she was so beautiful. And then like you watch Cougar Town, it's like, what the fuck did you do to your face? Yeah,
like, what is this?
Well, she was going through the midlife crisis with the divorce and everything, so I get it. Like, you think you have to change, you think it's gonna be great. It wasn't. Her face was so cute. She could have got away with graceful aging for sure, but she also can afford to have those crazy chemical pills and those laser things that women get that keep their face looking fresh without changing their entire face. You can get a fucking shot in your chin that makes the double chin go away.
And what made it worse was the fact that, I know it's tangent, but made it worse around the time was the fact that Jennifer Aniston, her, co-star for all those years, was putting out movies around the time that Cougar Town, showed like her, that weird, stuff that she'd done to her face, was putting out a movie like Horrible Bosses and like, and then like We're the Millers. And I've never seen Jennifer Aniston that friggin' hot. Like she was in those movies. She was hotter than she ever was back on Friends.
Let's be honest. Jennifer Aniston does not use a vino. But she probably does the proper treatments that you can do that slows down the aging process or reverses some of it to a degree, And I think Courtney Cox could have got away with that, but she did what she did. It looks like she stopped. She didn't look terrible on screen, so I don't want anyone to think she looks like fucking Crypt Keeper. She doesn't.
No, she doesn't. It's just in comparison. I mean, it's
I mean, you put me next to somebody young, and it's like, okay, maybe you might look at me and be like, oh, okay, well, she doesn't look her age. Put me next to someone who definitely looks the age you think that I am, and you're gonna be like, yeah, she's definitely the age she says she is.
I was reading this, like apparently they wanted Kirby to be back sooner, and actually she's gonna be back in part 5, but they couldn't find her. Like they straight up could not find the actress Hayden Panettiere. Like and they finally got in contact with her in like 2019, and that's how they finally got all this stuff set up. But like it was for years they didn't even know where she was at.
Well, yeah, I told you she was kind of going through some shit.
Yeah.
So I hope it seems like it's all handled now. I know she gets to see her child whenever. I think her and her baby daddy have a good relationship, co-parenting, if you will, but he's got full custody of that child. So
yeah, which means a lot. I mean, if that's the case, what she's went through. I didn't realize this, but they said somebody mentioned on here that when at the frat party where Tara's at the beginning of the movie, somebody's dressed up as Wednesday.
Oh, I did see that. I was like, oh, so cheesy, whatever.
But yeah, it's Kevin Williamson's like quoted on here saying that his thoughts on it, that to him it doesn't feel like a part 6. It feels like you're watching this big, huge, fresh reinvention, and he loved it. I mean, that's big praise coming from the guy who wrote the original movie.
It does feel that
I've watched
way.
this movie with a big smile on my face. I think it's everything and more. And moving to New York was awesome. The movie feels new. It feels fresh. It feels like a new movie.
Yeah. You know, the children are excited for Ghostface, and I have to commend parents like me who have kind of raised them on these kind of films. So they're just like, it's like they have plushies of Ghostface. These are things we wouldn't have had as kids. We would have had those weird little mecha toys if our parents let us get our grimy hands on one of those, you know, as a collectible. But they have all these cool things that kids can collect that's Ghostface. So the kids have been enthused about it. Now these kids are growing up, and these are the movies they get to see that we got to see at this age. And I think that is so amazing for them because that's so hard to come across these days. Think about it. Good horror films, especially a slasher. How many good ones besides the old ones are these kids getting? They're getting a couple, actually.
I think this might mark like the Renaissance, to be perfectly honest with you, because this movie is doing so well and getting so much praise. I feel like that there's going to be, especially with other studios hurting right now for like the movies that they're putting out, they're going to realize the old standard. When in doubt, make a horror movie. You can make it on the cheap, and you can make a lot of money. And we might be on the verge of getting. I mean, it can go the other way. I mean, you know, studios could. But I think that from what we're seeing with Ant-Man, the superhero craze is finally winding down and on the verge of crashing. And I think horror might be entering a new cycle again.
Yeah. And unofficially from the hubby, because I think he liked the Friday the 13th remake. Unofficially, and I won't say a lot or anything. I have to hear it back again. And I think he liked the Friday or the Nightmare on Elm Street remake as well.
He has said that he did like that, and which surprised me because I figured he would have been more critical of it, but it makes me now actually excited when we go to review that here soon.
Yeah, so that's coming up literally, well, tomorrow for us, but very soon for you guys as well. So
yeah, well, it's going to be the first 3 movies, but we'll make our way to the remake.
We'll make our way downtown.
But yeah, it's I was just really impressed by this movie. I mean, you know, kind of wrapping things up as far as this goes. I mean, because I think we've kind of covered, you know, most of the stuff in it. I'm just really, I'd heard good things. I tried not to be overhyped. I went into it and I'm like, this is fucking good. This is like a good sequel to it's still not better than part 1, but it is so good. I think it might be my favorite sequel now.
Yeah,
honestly.
It's. I mean, like, I almost want to be like it's better than part 2, but part 2 was it really was a different Scream franchise, you know?
Yeah.
You had different characters, you had different Ghostface. I mean, and that's the cool part of the Ghostface is that you get these psycho people. Now, this was the same story, different day for me in terms of fucked up family. Oh boy, is that a running thing with the Ghostface killers? Got some fucked up family, you know?
That's true. You're gonna be in a whole new world, literally, whenever you start reviewing Nightmare here.
Oh God!
The next time that we cover all this.
Oh, for sure.
A totally different scenario in that case.
Yes.
You're talking about a revenge hobo coming back and.
Oh God.
But I don't know. I can't like stress enough how much I enjoyed this. Like I was watching it and just like, and especially it is so satisfying at the end of the movie. Like some of the kills, like, you know, Tara gets a good one, or even though it doesn't technically kill him on the guy. And then and on the father, you know, of course, like Sam does her thing and got that brutal Billy stab action going on. I loved it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think we can stress enough how much we highly recommend going and watching it. If you haven't, we really hope you didn't listen to this before you watched it. It's not worth it.
No. It's we just wanted to do this as a final roundup, but also as like, anybody that wanted to kind of like join in and kind of celebrate, how nice it is to have a good slasher back on the screen.
Yeah, a good one for the children, because think of the children.
And it's not woke. I mean, it's got a diverse cast, which isn't a bad thing if you develop them and that sort of thing. It's got obviously a lesbian couple in the sense of Mindy and her girlfriend, but it's well done in the movie. Like they actually are a good couple for each other. Like,
one of them dies real good.
And then, of course, like I said, you have the strong male, which in every other movie, like, I don't know, another tangent, but like, I know you're big into Star Wars. Like I heard about the recent episode of Mando where he literally gets saved by everybody, like over the course of the episode, like, and he can't do shit for himself. That kills me that they're doing that with characters like that.
Yeah, I haven't watched the series yet. I think we're gonna watch it when the whole thing is released. I might start watching it here and there, but I actually haven't heard that. I've been pretty good about not catching spoilers of anything lately, which is strange because I love a spoiler. But even with Scream, just like you, once I saw an article that said Scream movie, and I was like, that's it. Nope, because I knew I was going to get the opportunity to see it before most people. And I was like, okay, well, you're already going to see it, so you don't need to read this. So I didn't even finish the rest of the title of the article so that I didn't hear whether it was good or bad.
Yeah, that's what I've been trying to do, just because I was like, I started seeing the positive reviews, and I'm like, that's it. I don't need to see anything else. That I just wanted confirmation. I kind of liked where they were going with the last one. This one's doing better. That's even better for me. Let's watch this. Very
enjoyable. It's almost one of those movies where I would like, if I found out one of my friends was going, they're like, hey, I don't have anyone to go with. Yeah, I'll go with you.
Yeah, it's one that I want to go back and rewatch, like especially since it's set on Halloween.
Oh yeah,
perfect.
Perfect. Oh my God, it was beautiful. Did you see it in 3D as well?
I did. Like I said, it was very disappointing because it's that post-processing, like the images are deeper in the screen type thing, and not even that well done, because I remember the best movie that ever did that was probably Toy Story 3 or 4. I think it was 3.
Oh, shit.
The images were so like you were actually looking into like a shadow box type scenario.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, it's just like, no, Jenna's slightly, stands out from the background. Okay.
Yeah. Nothing flies at you, which kind of sucks. At the beginning, you kind of get that with it's not even the beginning of the film. It's like the, I don't know, like the studio, graphics at the beginning that,
I was getting ready to say, this type of processing, the thing that stands out the most is always credits.
Yes.
Like, especially at the beginning of like those pop out of the screen, everything else just kind of, which is weird because I've had that effect happen on just like 2D screens. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen this, but like when you're scrolling through Facebook, if there is like a black image but has red letters on it, there is like an optical illusion that happens on like a cell phone where the red just kind of stands out on top of the black, and it's like almost but it's the same effect you get in the movie. So.
Yeah. No, I've noticed that too. Yeah, I was like sitting there. Now, the kids and the hubby really enjoyed it in 3D. They're like, that was pretty good. And I'm like, I know I'm not one to be able to say this, but I'm going to anyways. I didn't really notice anything great. I didn't hate it, but you pay more to see it in 3D, and then you don't have to.
And then you have to go through the annoyance of wearing the glasses. Like I was constantly having to readjust on them. When you wear glasses like I do anyways, it's like, because they don't stick to your ears because your glasses are already there,
Yeah, so. My daughter did mention that, which was funny because I wore contacts. Tried to get contacts for little Lisafina, but somebody, the little Miss Macabre, didn't want to touch her eyeball. So there, there's part of the normal one coming out.
Yeah, I can't really blame her in that. I've never liked that, but also. I have kind of the thing where like I have with lazy eyes, it were like if I don't like control it, like, it kind of rolls to the side. And I've heard horror stories about people having the contact kind of roll into their, behind their eyes. So I don't want to.
So much fun. It's like an adventure. You have to figure out how to get it out.
Yeah, not
I hate it.
just I'll wear glasses, but they're fine.
Yeah, but it worked well with the 3D glasses though, for sure. They need to think about people. It's like we've had 3D out long enough that you know that there's a typical type of glasses you can have that goes over glasses. They exist. Why not have those? You have so many people that wear glasses. How much more is it going to cost you? An extra fucking 15 cents per glasses? You know,
there's some theaters that do that. Like it's they're not the disposable kind that you like grab and throw away.
Oh yeah.
And because we had a theater and another place that we used to live at where they did the ones that they had to charge up and like reuse, which are, you know, especially post COVID, you know, that's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
But like they would sit like, I mean, on top of your like glasses, like the way they encircled them. So they were a little bit better that way.
Yeah. That's what we need to be focusing on. But whatever, you know.
But the gist of the whole review, go watch it. Great film in the franchise, pays homage to everything before it. I almost feel like we did ourselves a service by doing the marathon review that we did.
Yeah.
I mean, I really do think that helped a lot.
Yeah.
In my enjoyment of this movie.
We got it out at the right time, and getting this out fast while it's still in theaters, I think is going to be pretty helpful in terms, hopefully for us, you know. In terms of getting us out there, but oh man, such a good fucking sequel.
I don't have anything else to add, so if you don't, then I think we're ready to wrap it up.
Oh yeah, I'm ready to roll.
And with that, peace be with you.
And with your spirit.
Take a little walk to the edge of town and go across the track where the viaduct looms like a bird of doom as it shifts and cracks, where secrets lie in the border fires and the humming wires. Yeah, man, you know you're never coming back. Across the square, across the bridge, past the mills, past the stacks. On a gathering storm comes a tall, handsome man in a dusty black coat with a red right hand.